Hi, my name is Shelby. This is Positive Avenue, and if you are here after watching a previous video, then thank you and welcome back. And if you are new to this channel, then I invite you to stay. Cheers. I was like trying to be all, I told my mom that I was about to record a video. And so while I was putting my makeup on, she bought a charcuterie board and she's like, "Do you want wine?" I said, "Okay, yes ma'am." So I went to the garage and I got one of my Positive Avenue glasses that I created my first go round. I was like selling intention boxes that came with 2 custom painted by yours truly wine glasses with like this kind of marble design, and then one half of it like glowed in the dark, and it came with these coasters that also lit up as well. It was really nice. It came with a healing stone, it came with an affirmation, and it came with a candle. I made candles too. But looking at this kind of just had me thinking about my journey with Positive Avenue. When I first created Positive Avenue, I had gotten out of a 14-year relationship and I had started to dive into self-love and self-care. I was introduced to a book, and you know, it kind of like threw me further into this healing journey, and I wanted to create a space. I started to understand the power of neuroplasticity and rewiring your brain, and the importance of and how small habits compound over time and how they, you know, have bigger impacts. And so I understood, my understanding of neuroplasticity led me to creating a business at the time, Positive Avenue, where I wanted to sell things that served as symbols, a constant reminder throughout your day to help retrain your mind, right? I wasn't really able to articulate that at the time, but looking back, I can say that that's what I was trying to do. But at the same time, I was really wanting Positive Avenue to be a space where people could come to feel seen and be heard. But I think that I could only meet people at where I was at, and that was just a totally different space. It was a totally different vibe. You had to be there. It was a totally different vibe. But I kind of had established this mission for myself to talk about the journey in its entirety. I really, from when I was looking for things and products and just had started getting into like intentionality and stuff, I found a lot of things on the internet that what I was saying at the time was glamorizing the journey, making the journey look like it's covered in glitter and pink and gold, and it's like that's not what the journey is about, like, at all. It doesn't glitter, it's not gold. It's pretty, hey, it's rough out here. It's rough out here. And so it's like I had given myself this mission to be real, talk about the real journey, but at the same time was selling products that were glitzing and glamorizing the journey. I didn't even understand at the time how contradictory that was to what I was getting at. I had no idea. I also was functioning at this like, man, very ego-driven season of my life. I started making a lot of money. I wanted to make more and more and more, open up new streams of income. So Positive Avenue became a strategy for me to get more income, if that makes sense. I had the right idea, the whole purpose and the mission. I had so much trouble tying everything together that I feel like it just came off as like I'm trying to sell the journey. And I ended up trying to sell the journey, and I'm actually not really that proud of that. When I launched Positive Avenue, when I had a store and I was selling intention boxes and candles and and money clips and, you know, cool things, fly things. And there are companies for that. There are companies for that just sell the things, you know, with no real, I had intention. But I'm like here today so much more deeper in my journey that it makes me feel like crazy for what I was like trying to do. People could have probably seen right through that. Meanwhile, I thought I was really, I don't know. I'm in my worst critic too, so I don't know if it even came off like that, but it's like now that I've grown to a different version of myself, I'm like judging myself. I guess that's what you could say. I'm judging myself. I'm looking at myself like that was some, I don't know. And so my time away from Positive Avenue for a long time, a year and a half, 2 years, like didn't even entertain restarting this. It's up until like 6 months ago where I felt good enough and had dealt with enough internal things. When you embark on your spiritual journey, it wipes you out and takes you out of everything. I used to not talk mess, but I used to just talk about the fact that nobody talks about going in the trenches of the journey. Everybody just pops up and pops out when they're like, you know, their hair is combed and, you know, you look presentable and you feel good. And it's like, nobody wants that part. We want that ugly part, you know what I mean? For people to feel seen, heard, and understood. And it's like, I couldn't even do that either. When you are really going through something, you just cannot, it's straight survival mode. Getting on here and making videos was not a priority. Posting daily on an Instagram page was not a priority at all. I'm trying to stay alive. And for a while, I thought about, what do I even want this to be? Because then I stopped aligning with this vision of Positive Avenue that I had when I left it. So I'm just like, for a long time, one of my fight or flight responses is actually freeze. I will do nothing. I'm the procrastinator friend. If it's too overwhelming, I am freezing and doing nothing. And sometimes that leads me to problems, becoming bigger problems that is highly unnecessary, all because I didn't want to do the hard thing the first time. Now the bill isn't $50, it's $350. Genius. Like, that's me. And I've been working hard to get out of that, but that is my fight or flight response. A lot of the time is freeze. So for a long time, I just was stuck on, what do I want this to be? What do I want this to be? The perfectionist. Then here comes the perfectionist part of me. The perfectionist part of me was like, how are we going to come back? What do we got to do here? What do we got to do there? And want this to look like this. Want it to be like this. And then it's just too overwhelming. So then what do? Freeze. Not doing it. And then I'm like, the perfectionist part is so annoying because you apply so much unnecessary pressure on yourself as a person like that. I am waiting until the day I can sit here and say that I'm a recovering perfectionist. I really genuinely can't wait, because the perfectionist part really stifles me. It's not that my expectations are too high, but it's like sometimes you have to just be realistic. I'm doing this on my own. I don't have a social media team. I don't have a graphic, whatever. I don't have that. So what can I realistically do? And, have to figure that out, have to go through the works with that. I was struggling a lot with imposter syndrome. I want this to be and what I want this to grow into and what I want to talk about on this channel, the imposter syndrome is real. I find my inner critic saying, who the heck do you think you are? Seriously, like, who the hell does she think she is? And it's like, why do I make myself feel like that? I don't know. The reality of it is I just do. Feeling like the imposter, like I haven't done enough. And, you start comparing yourself to other people on here and you're like, I'm just, just making yourself feel small. Like, you don't want to take up space in this area. During this time that I've been gone, I've been dealing with the fear of what, for some reason, what people are going to think. Yeah, that's been huge for me, because I've never, what Positive Avenue was before, I wasn't at a space, or my capacity, my self-awareness wasn't there. So I wasn't going to be able to get that vulnerable. You feel what I'm saying? The person that I've grown into now, I can take it there, and I'm going to take it there. And that's scary, me being vulnerable about sensitive topics, about debatable topics, providing my perspective, the fear of being judged by others. That's a real thing for me. I don't any longer blame myself for being the type of person that cares what people think about them, because I used to feel really bad about it. Like, once your self-awareness just grows and you're able to admit these things about yourself, and it's like, I shamed myself for a while, like caring about what people think about you, like whatever. Now I'm like, okay, yes, I want to be liked. You know what I mean? I want to be loved. That's one of my wounds, and that has kind of affected or driven some of my behavior sometimes, and past versions of myself. The need to be liked, the need to be loved has driven some of my behaviors. And so it's like, okay, I've acknowledged that about myself. And so, I have been very adamant on just dealing with all of those things. I'm the type of person that believes that when you're presented with hurdles and feelings and emotions and things, to sit with them and dissect them. I used to dissociate like crazy. Mind-body connection where didn't have it, don't know what you're talking about. But now it's like and it's one of the hardest things that I have to do is sit with my feelings. I don't like uncomfortable feelings. It's like, I'm out of here. I don't like it. Never. So I have just been giving myself the space to like really deal with what's going on, what's tied up in this Positive Avenue thing. When you reach new levels of yourself, it's never just, oh yeah, I step into this role. You are resisting like crazy. You're resisting like crazy. And walking around as this new person that you are, it's uncomfortable territory. You've never been this person. You've never made decisions as this person. You've never had these different set of boundaries as this person. You've maybe talked away or whatever. And so it's like, you got to build confidence around being this new person. And then you got to deal with like the pressure that being the person that you want to become applies. That's pressure. Can I live up to that pressure? Like, the person, for me to want to invest myself the way that I know is going to be necessary in order to really grow this, that's a hell of a responsibility that I'm giving to myself. Sometimes you can actually have a fear of becoming. You can have a fear of becoming. And there's not a fear of failure, it's a fear of success. That's a real thing. Because it's game over after that. Playtime is over after that. And you know, just navigating so many different feelings through this growth. Growth is just a process, a slow, delicate unfolding of becoming. And all of this conversation came from this one, looking at this one wine glass. That's crazy. Over the past 2.5 years, like going to therapy twice a week, it's just been amazing. I've learned so much about myself. I've grown so much. Therapy has been incredible for my journey. And that's actually what this video really is supposed to be about. I went on this whole tangent, and this video is supposed to be about therapy and how therapy has played, because I just got off of my session with my therapist. That's why therapy is actually on my mind. But it's like, therapy has been amazing for me in my journey, and I sought out my therapist right in the thick of what I was going through. So I've had my therapist for 2.5 years now. I see her literally twice a week. I go to therapy a lot, more than the average person. It's something that I've worked into my budget at this point. It is a priority to me. I love my therapy. And I wanted to talk about, you know, kind of my journey in therapy. When I first was looking for a therapist, I had tried traditional therapists before, and no ma'am, not for me, don't like it. This time around, I looked up holistic therapists. I found a holistic therapist, and the rest was been history. So what is a holistic therapist? It's somebody who looks at the body as a whole. Western medicine, a lot of the times they focus on just here and diagnosing you. What a coincidence. Diagnosing you. And from that moment on, it's just about the diagnosis. I don't really think anyone, it's like, what happened to you? Trauma. What one person considers trauma may not be someone else's trauma. Someone else's pain tolerance level is another person's, is nothing to them. So it's like trauma, everyone has it. Let's just get that straight right now. And so it's like, that's the cause at the end of the day. That's the cause at the end of the day. A holistic therapist is looking spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, hormonally. My therapist, asked me how much water have I been drinking. It's putting the association to me holding onto urine as a form of control, because that's one of the only things that I had to control at that time. You know what I mean? Gotta get labs as homework. Gotta meditate as homework. Gotta do somatic exercises as homework. Teaching me box of breathing and talking about God and talking about diet, talking about, like I said, get your hormones checked. Holistic therapist, the prescription is sunlight. Yeah. Sometimes that's my prescription, is you need to go outside and lay in the sun. You know what I mean? Go in the grass and lay there and let the wind just blow all over your body. Look at some leaves. Sometimes the prescription is listening to meditative music. Sometimes the prescription, you know what I mean? Go to the beach. Holistic therapy has been amazing for me because it's allowed me to connect with my body in a different type of way, instead of not necessarily looking at just my brain as the enemy, as something, that's causes problems, that's blah, blah, blah. We're looking at the interconnectedness of all systems, and I love that. I love the fact that we talk about God. There's a mutual understanding that God, body movement, there's just a understanding of how all of these things also affect a human being. And so it's been a heck of a journey, an amazing journey. I'm so grateful to have a guide there for me every step of the way. Also, to be seen in my entirety, in my weak moments, to be seen at my lowest, to still be loved, to still be liked, to still be reassured, for somebody to still stay, to have that thing that's there when you don't have nothing else and you literally don't even know yourself. You don't even know if you like yourself. To have that person there, some sessions where not a person in my life can, for whole sessions, no words, just tears. Somebody who I'm just yelling the whole session. And then somebody who calls me out when I'm wrong, but the way that it's articulated is so smooth. It's so smooth. The best therapists don't give you the answers, they ask the right questions. For real. Sometimes I'm left out of sessions just like, I've duped it out with myself a lot in therapy, and I'm on the other side, still growing, still building, still finding out stuff, still learning. But this journey has really been amazing. To anybody who has healthcare insurance and can afford it, to anybody who is going through anything, identity crisis, grief, anger, heartbreak, navigating through really rough times in their life, I would highly suggest that you see a therapist. I don't care what the stigma is. I don't care what people have to say. Working on my mental health is a good thing. If I am mentally weak in some areas, and I learned this from my workout journey, you work out a muscle to make it stronger. My brain is a muscle. If I'm mentally weak in some areas, if I'm wounded, if I'm hurt, if I'm angry, if I'm this, then I need to work on that muscle. And it's I just like to exercise my brain. I've grown to like to exercise my brain, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with growing, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that you're not okay. There's nothing wrong with not being okay. I've learned that too. If you're hanging around people, if you have people in your life that are making you feel like going to work on yourself and getting some assistance is negative, you need to evaluate those people. You need to evaluate those people seriously. There's coaches for something. If you need help in a certain area and you need guidance, that's actually smart. It's actually smart, because what is the blind going to be leading the blind over here? That would be better. No, I'm seeking help. I'm seeking help. A therapist is like any other relationship in your life. You might have to shop around. You might have to swipe left a couple of times on people. You might have to end the relationship early. The thing about it is, be persistent, really want that help, find the right one. With the right one, just like any relationship, it can grow, it can elevate, something beautiful can grow out of that. And so it's it sucks because there's this growing, not a growing period, but it's like a test period. You're gonna have to find a therapist, and then it doesn't work out, and then you go to another one, then you got to tell them your whole life story, and then it doesn't work out, and then you find another one, and you know what I mean? And I'm not saying switch therapists all the time though, because that could be you avoiding something, avoiding the truth, and you're looking for somebody to just justify your reasoning and your actions, and you're not getting it, so you're changing therapists. That's something totally different. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really being aligned with somebody, that is a little journey in itself. I'm not gonna lie. But once you find the right therapist, it's amazing. It's like talking to the homegirl. Seriously, it's literally like a friend that literally knows everything about you and literally still loves you and literally never judges you and still loves you. Male, female, young, the younger the better, truly. But it's like, get a therapist, get a guide. You've never done this before, you need help, it's okay. Don't judge yourself, don't care if other people judge you. It's one of the best things you can do for yourself. It's one of the best investments in your future, in your growth, in you as a person. So I definitely just wanted to come on here and talk about therapy. I just got out of my session. I feel really good. Some days, I mean, it's not always like that either, but I just feel really good, and therapy was on my mind. So, yeah. Therapy. If you are one of my viewers that is seeing a therapist or has seen a therapist in your life, I want to know, in what ways did you grow while going to therapy? And in what ways has therapy been a challenge for you? I just want to know it all. Let me know down in the comments, and we'll talk later. I'll see you next time. Take care.